Go ahead and open up your 18.1 work together. Says the journals for Klein Incorporated are provided below. We're assuming the current year. We're going to journalize the following transactions on page 5 of the cash receipts journal, page 8 of the cash payments journal, and page 4 of a general journal. Source documents are abbreviated as C, R, and M. So we have 4 transactions here in March and June. First one, it says on March 3rd, we drew $6,500 on its line of credit, receipt number 146. So we are receiving cash in this one. Since we're receiving cash, we're going to go into our cash receipts. I'm going to start with my date. When I receive cash, I know that I'm going to debit cash. So I'm going to automatically put in my debit to cash. So $6,500. Then I'm going to credit line of credit. And that's going to be receipt 146. I will credit that for the same amount of $6,500. I have a debit and credit that equal, so I'm going to move on to the 26th. We signed a 90-day 10% note to MVT Supply for an extension of time on its accounts payable, $2,400, memorandum 92. This one is going to go into our, our general journal, sorry. We're not actually paying any cash. We're not receiving cash. So here we're going to go into our general journal. So I'm going to start with my date, March 26th. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm moving my accounts payable into a notes payable. So I'm going to debit my accounts payable. And it was vendor MVT Supply. Memorandum 92. I'm going to debit that for $2,400. And then, like I said, I'm moving that to a notes payable. So I'm going to credit then notes payable for $2,400. Okay, June 24th, I paid cash for the maturity value of the March 26th note. The principal was $2,400 plus the interest. We're using check 362. So we're looking at this note here, and now we're paying it. We're paying cash, so that's going to go into cash payments. Also, we see that we have a check. A check is always going into cash payments. So June 24th. I'm paying cash, so I know that I'm going to have a cash credit. What I need to decide here is what I'm going to debit. I'm going to pay off that note, so I'm going to debit my notes payable. I have check 362. Remember here, I don't need to put in that C because it's already labeled as check. So we just put in 362. I'm going to debit that for the principal amount of the note, so that was $2,400. Now I also have to include my interest. So that would be considered my interest expense. Now here they don't tell us what our interest expense is, so that's something that we're going to have to figure out. We need to look at the above transaction to remember what we have for our note. We're going to take our principal amount, $2,400, times the interest, which was 10%, and times the amount. Now, it says that we're doing the maturity value of the March 26th. So the maturity value is a 90-day note. Remember, that's going to be 90 over 360. That tells us our interest expense then is going to be $60. That means the actual amount that we paid, we're going to add those two numbers together. The actual amount that we paid was $2,460. Okay, June 30th, it says that we paid cash for the monthly payment on its line of credit. The principal was $1,500 plus an interest amount of $64.20, check number 369. Again, we're paying cash. This is going to go into our cash payments journal. So I have June 30th. This one is going to look a lot like what we did with our notes payable, except we don't have a note here. This was from our line of credit. So right now we're going to debit our line of credit. 369 was the check. Okay, the line of credit principal was $1,500. And then it told us our interest was $64.20. So that's going to be our interest. Our interest expense would be $64.20. Okay, now we need to put in our cash credit. Our cash credit, then we're simply going to add those two numbers together. So $1,564.20. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check my answer. Everything looks good. So you can now go ahead and go on to the 18.1 on your own. When you're done with that, you can then go to the 18.2 lecture video.